But let's bump up a level and talk about what you might want to use local storage to store. As I mentioned before, you probably want to use it to store user settings, but any data that may be useful in a different session of your application is probably useful to cache in IndexedDB or local storage. Finally, an important way to think of this is anytime you call a network API, you probably want to cache that response in IndexedDB or local storage so you can get it back later. When you're offline, this can be particularly useful because you already have the data from a previous session cached. In our conference app, for example, each of the data models is being loaded from a JSON file on the server. In the original incarnation, these files are loaded every time they're needed, just relying on HTTP caching to minimize the network transfers. When I initially made an app cache for the conference app, I just app cached the JSON files, since of course they need to be there to run the application. However, it would make more sense to cache the data here in Index Database for a couple of reasons. First, it can do index lookups, so I can have a table for speakers, a table for sessions, have them easily cross-reference items in each of them, and make it easy to search for an entry. Secondly, we can get the structured data directly out of the database, rather than having to parse the JSON text file each time. We can then provide a synchronization system that occasionally makes network requests to refresh the data objects, or updates on load, or when an unrecognized speaker is found. One final reminder, though. Keep in mind as you design your application that if the user clears their data from the machine, any data stored locally is going to be deleted, so you shouldn't store the only copy of important data on the client. Local storage is really just intended to be used as a cache.